Wee, what's going on YouTube? Is Donnie B all day, a sweaty Donnie B all day, a little dirty too. I have been in the shop all day trying to make something be freaking beautiful and something a little different, right? Now, normally if I'm going to make a knife, I want to make a knife full tang because I'm a full tang whore. I mean, that's just what I believe in. It's got to be full tang. But every now and then I think about a knife that would be beautiful to display. And like staghorn knives, I don't buy a lot of staghorn. There's only one, my Hen and Rooster, where it's a burn-in stag. My other stags are full tang. But I have, like, I think just one burn-in, and that one is one I use that. I use the crap out of it. I've used it in a few videos. It's amazing. I don't know how the stag's still on there, but it is pinned at the end. It's burned through with a rat that comes all the way to the end and pinned. It's not just a burn through with nothing. I just don't trust them all the time, you know. But I thought to myself, I really want to make something that could be just displayed, something hung, something that looks really good. A knife that's still knives, where if somebody broke in, I'd still be able to pull it off the wall and use it. And I mean use it. It's a fully functional knife, but I wanted something just like beautiful and different. So I went to one of the stores here. It's a local store where they sell like geodes and all kinds of minerals and semi-precious gemstones. And I mean, you just go in there, it's walled. I mean, it's everywhere. The place is massive. It's got literally just everything when you're talking about that kind of stuff. I mean, you go there, make your own jewelry, and then blah, 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 blah. And then they have this whole section of these big crystals, like, you know, real, genuine crystals. And it looked like something from Superman's Fortress of Solitude, right? So I was like, I got to check these out. So I was looking at one, and I went over to the guy who owns a shop, and I said, hey, man, do you do customizing on these pieces? I said, if I gave you a measurement to go through the crystal, because I don't know what it takes to drill crystal. I've never done it before, or to drill semi-precious, you know, gemstones. So I said, would you be able to do it? And he said, oh, we don't do it in-house, blah, blah, blah. It's difficult, and between the dust and getting in your lungs and this and that. He's giving me, you know, drill, you can crack it. You have to have all the right stuff and the right person doing it. So I said, well, I'm kind of a right person, right? And I'm a lefty, so I'm always in my right of mind. I'm a right person. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to buy a crystal anyway, and I'm going to test the theory to see if I can do it, right? So let me show you first the Fortress of Solitude, right? This crystal is huge. It's big. It's well, let's measure it. Here, I'm just showing you with my fingers. It's this big. I can jump that high. All right, let's see. The crystal itself is 6.5 inches, and it is 2 inches wide, just about. So it's a big piece. Oh, I just showed you too much. It's a big piece, and I thought to myself, I really want to make this a knife. And so, not knowing if it was possible or not, I brought it home and I began drilling. Look at the iridescent look on this. This crystal, look at this, is freaking beautiful. I mean, beautiful. It is amazing. So I have a bunch of knife parts sitting around from knives that failed, or just, you know, something happened, it didn't work. And I had this old Rough Rider blade. It was much longer. I think it was a 10-inch blade. It's now 8 1/4. But it broke off with the weak ass tang that it had, and it was really cheap. But the blade is really good itself. It's a good blade. It holds an edge. It's strong. And I thought I would love to reuse this someday. And I thought about cutting it down and making a little bushcrafter, you know, maybe making a full tang by bringing this up and then down. And that's what my thought was. And then when I was looking at this, I mean, just look at that. Tell me if that isn't just amazing. I mean, that is phenomenal. So I can almost see myself. So I really wanted to use that, and it's a hand filler. I mean, my hands, it's a hand filler. It's big. But I thought to myself, this would be a really cool blade. So what I did is I spent quite a long time drilling and then hollowing out my hole. I did not drill and hollow out my hole, but I drilled and hollowed out my hole, right? So then it went from there to taking this old guard I had, and I had to grind it down a bit and then sand it, and it had stuff on it. and it just wasn't perfect. So I had to make it perfect. I had to make it fit this knife. It had to work on this knife. Then I put the guard on and realized I cut it too small, and it was smaller than this. So I had to grind down the corners to make it taper at the end. You could put your thumb on it or whatever. It really doesn't matter, but I made it taper. So then I took the steel and I drew out my stick tang where I was going to put it and how deep I needed it to be, which goes to about here. And I began cutting. And once that was done, I took some JB Weld, mixed it all up, and I filled the hole with JB Weld, put all the pieces in, and JB welded the back of my guard and just let it sit. It's been sitting now for, it's 5-minute weld. It's been sitting for over an hour. So it's pretty good right now. I'd let it sit 24 hours before I actually use it. But I mean, right now it's not going anywhere. Then what I did is, this was a highly polished blade. So as you can see, I gave it kind of a satin finish, which I liked better. And voila, I have the dbad Crystal Bowie. So, repurposing a broken knife and taking, going out and buying this giant piece of crystal that's gorgeous. And then reforming a guard. Luckily, I had a brass guard sitting around. I was able to make a really nice looking knife. So I was contemplating on making a sheath or hiring somebody to make a sheath for it. Or I was just going to get a display box and put it in a display, because it's really kind of badass. And I think, I don't think it needs much, just to sit there and be pretty is enough for this knife, even though this thing would be a cutter. Would I use this thing for like bushcraft and hardcore? No, because if you hammer on it this way, this is still crystal. You can end up shattering the crystal, right? So, but going through skin, and I gave it a nice edge, going through skin, it would not be worth it. It's nice and sharp too. It would not have a problem. But this thing is pretty dope, yo. I really, really like the way this is. See how these lines go like this? I chose this blade because I have a couple broken blades. I have a Hibben blade that's a dagger, and I thought this would make a really nice dagger. And once I saw it, but the lines, the way it matched up, I said, this is the must, right? It's got to be this one. So, anywho, I just wanted to show you what I've been working on all day, and this is my Crystal Bowie. Now, I'll either put it on display, or I'll have somebody make a sheath for it, or I'll sell it. I have no idea. But after putting in some hours into this thing, I don't know if I want to sell it or not, but I mean, I could. It's badass. It's badass. I brushed up the aluminum. The brass, because it came like a polished brass. And so I brushed it, and I gave it a really nice brushed look, which is just way, way better in my opinion. Anyway, introducing the dbad Crystal Bowie. Now I know it's possible. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to either make my own couple of blades, some small ones, because my shop here, it's hard to make a big blade, what I have going. But I can make some small blades, even though you guys see my big monster Muso Bowie that I made that here, and that thing's ginormous. But I'm thinking if I just get some small ones with some smaller crystals, or just some different semi-precious gemstone, and do it that way, I might start and just make some more of different gems. That way, if I wanted to keep them, I could have a whole set, a collection of, gemstone and crystal knives, or I just sell them. You know what I mean? But damn, this is one of the nicest crystals I've ever seen, man. That thing is dope. You could polish it to where you could see completely through it. It's like glass, but then it won't have that look. It just won't have that look. Like, I think the end might be polished. I don't even know. It's kind of hard to tell right there. But that's beautiful. That is striking. All right, that's it for this one. Just wanted to show you what I've been doing. Nothing else to say. Sub to Scab, sub to Joe, sub to Shredder, sub to Pistol Pete, sub to Timbo, sub to Backyard Samurai, sub to everybody, sub to everybody. All the brothers in the blade need some love. So let's pass it along. I am Donnie B all day. Until next knife.